Hey, Chimicum Junior Senior High School Choirs, Miss G here. Again with another lesson for you on your theory packet this week. If you have not been able to keep up with your theory, let's not panic, okay? This week would be a great place to start. And the reason is because we're going to be doing chromatic scales. We're starting with our learning goal number 43. Remember that we are in the packet with the piano keyboard on the front, okay? And on learning packet 43, learning goal 43, we have our chromatic scale. It says the chromatic scale moves stepwise using all possible notes on the keyboard, your instrument or your voice. All the notes of the scale are a half step apart. When the chromatic scale goes up, it uses sharps. When the scale uses flats, when it comes down, okay? The chromatic scale on this page is a 1-octave scale, all right? And it's showing you that scale right here on the page, going up and back down. I want to show it to you in two ways, all right? The first way I want to show it to you is by sharing a screen that will look familiar, I hope, to you. And this is the one that we use the chromatic scale for in singing, all right? This is where we start, down at the bottom as it shows. Just run my cursor on do, and then the regular old major scale goes right up the middle. Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. To make it chromatic, we include half steps. When we go up, as it said, we are using sharps. When we go down, we're using flats, okay? So when we go up and we go by half steps, we're just moving from do to the D over with the sharps, back to re, then re, mi, fa, fi, so, si, la, li, ti, do. And if you remember at the beginning of the year, we practiced using this scale quite a bit because half steps in singing are so important and they happen a lot. You might be in a major key singing a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do scale, and they'll throw in a half step, and you need to be able to really hear that and know what your voice needs to do to find it. So that's why we practice chromatic scales. I'm going to play a low C on my recorder. Listen to my C. That's going to be do. And we're just going to practice our hand signs for a minute. And see, I'll be in the window here. They'll also be in front of you trying to point at the same time. Let me put my book down and see if I can use my cursor and my hand. All right? Do, di, re, mi, fa, fi, so, si, la, li, ti. I'm here. Do. Kind of lost myself in the little window over here that they're giving me to record. All right? That's what it sounds like going up with your half steps. And I know some of you who recorded for our All-State this year, Hunter, Connor, Galia, Haley Brakeman, anybody who tried for All-State, you're going to remember that scale. That was the hardest one for you to have to do. And you did a fabulous job of it. So this is all we're working on this week, and we're going to do it on paper as well in a minute. Let's go down now with the flats. When we go down, look at my cursor, do, ti, te, la, le, so, se, fa, mi, me, re, ra, do. And so high do is here. Let's find a good pitch again. This will be high C. Going down, and I'll see if I can move my cursor at the same time. Do, ti, te, la, le, so, se, fa, mi, me, re, ra. That's where we bring that thumb in, and do. Okay? So just a refresher. Sometimes when we're doing something on paper, we don't see the correlation between what we're doing and why we use it in singing. This is why we use it in singing, okay? So let's go now, stop the share, go back to your assignment for this week, starting with number 43. And all you're doing, now what's also important is showing it to you on the front of your music. And in this one, let's just take a look. I believe the scale we're going to start on, yes, it's going to start on an F. And one of the questions I had was, why did it start on F? One of the students who already finished their work questioned that. The answer is, it starts wherever the person who's dictating the music or trying to help you with your scales starts, or where it sits in the voice well. To start on an F would be a pretty high spot for an alto, but for a soprano, that's a perfect place to start. So here's an F. Going up to that high F would be where that would be. So whatever the note that they want you to start on. So if the note starts on F, it's also going to end on F, all right? And so in a chromatic scale, here's the F. And to do chromatic, remember we're going half steps. So we're going white, black, white, black, white, black, white, white, because there's no black key between B and C. Okay, black, white, black, white. No half step between E and F, so there's two white keys in a row. White. Okay, now it doesn't always go that way, does it? It changes according to wherever you start. If my scale starts on C, white, black, white, black, white, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, white. Actually, you know what? It did stay the same. Okay, let's do it again on another one and see if it's the same. If I start my note on E, it's white, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, white. You might have discovered some patterns there, right guys? So it doesn't matter where it starts, you just are moving by half steps. So you're not going as far as you do in a major scale. Instead of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, do, di, re, re, you can feel where those half steps are, okay? So looking now at number 43, it's asking us on the strategy over in the corner. Now this is the part that some of us are keep misunderstanding. You only have to do for your clef. You don't have to do the strings clef. And if you're a baritone or a bass, you do the bass clef. So sopranos and altos, tenors and basses. And really there's only one line to fill in, guys. Easy peasy. They're asking you, it says to copy the chromatic scale written in your clef on the line below and use whole notes. Be sure the sharp or flat sign is written before each note. Remember, notes B to C and E to F are already a half step apart. And we just showed you that, so they don't need an accidental because they're just the white keys, okay? So that's why they don't need those. All right, so that being said, guys, how easy peasy. All I'm doing is looking above and copying exactly what is written. They just want you to get used to writing a chromatic scale. I kind of did a few of them for you, and then I just wrote copy, etc. You're going all the way up. Now when you get to these two notes, those two Fs, then you're going to head back down. And there's my two Fs, and then I'm heading back down by half step. Notice there's no accidental between F and E. We already had that discussion, right? So all you're doing is copying that. Exactly. It's like word for word, in this case, note for note, okay? Down at the bottom, the checkup says, number 1, a chromatic scale has an interval of half steps only, okay? We already established that. We only go by half steps when we're chromatic. A chromatic uses blank possible notes. Well, when you're going up the scale and you're going chromatically, you don't leave anything out. You don't leave any sharps out, you don't leave any flats out, so it uses all possible notes. Number 3, a chromatic scale uses blank going up and blank coming down. Do you remember our picture that I showed you on the screen share? And I said it right at the very beginning. When we're going up the chromatic scale, we're going to use, because we're moving up. Remember, when we go up, we always use, and when we come down, we always use. Okay? So you should be able to see those two answers right in front of your eyes. And that's number 43. Whoosh, done. Page number 44, everybody. We're still on chromatic scales. Let's read what it says at the top. A chromatic scale is a series of notes moving stepwise in half-step intervals. I love that word stepwise. It's important to know you're moving by step. In other words, from line to space to line to space, or space to line to space to line, whatever note it starts on. It says sharps are used going up the scale, ascending. Ascending means up. We already learned that. And flats are used coming down the scale, descending. The octave is divided into 12 equal parts. In other words, there are 12 notes in a chromatic scale. Okay? Remember, the two at the top are the same as the ones at the bottom, so you don't recount those. Okay? All intervals, we already said it, are a half step apart. Strategy. Given below are the notes of a chromatic scale out of order. In other words, they jumbled them all up, right? They want you to find, as it says, using these, write an ascending and descending scale in whole notes. So you're just going to write a scale. Remember, they go from line to space, or if it starts on a space, space to line. So when we say stepwise, it wants you to put it in step order, okay? Meaning that it would look like going right up a ladder, and I'll show you that. First, find the lowest note in the scale and place it on the staff. Once you find the lowest note in this jumbled mess, then you'll be able to know where to start. And I'm looking and I say, that one's pretty low because I can see it's going down. It has a sharp in front of it though, so that may tell me it's higher than, than this one. There's no sharp in front of this one, so it's got to go first. What's going to come after it? The one with the sharp. And then I'm going up by steps. Now, if I were smart, rather than looking at this jumble and going, okay, I'm going to use this one, cross it out. Okay, I'm going to use this one, cross it out. Okay, what's next? No. I'm going to be smarter than that. I'm going to start with my first note, and then I'm going to make one just like it, because remember, it's going to probably be a sharp or a flat. And then I'm going to continue, then go to my next space, and probably use another sharp, and then my next line, space, line, space, line, space, until I get to that top note, which I already put in, by the way, because I'm going to look for the bottom and the top. I know it's the same pitch. This is a G, and this is a G. So I'm going to put it in chromatic order, and hopefully I'm going to come out using all the notes that I see here. And I'm going to double check my work, right? Because there may be one that tries to trick me, and there will be, by the way, because when we're doing chromatic scales, it happens that way. Let's look down here at the bass clef. Find the lowest pitch. Boom. Guess what? It's the same note as the soprano and alto. It's a G. It's down on my bottom line. Remember, a G in bass clef is one line lower than it is in treble clef. Then my G sharp. Then my next step, A. Then my A sharp. Then my next line, sorry, yeah, that's right, G, A. I was losing my mind for a minute. And then we're going to go to a B. And then I remember there's no B sharp. Remember, B is going to go to what note? Did you say C? I hope you did. And then C sharp. And then from C sharp, I'm moving to my D. From D, I'm going to move to D sharp. I'm looking for D sharp. There it is. And then from D sharp to E. From E to, remember, nothing between E and F. So my E goes then to my F to my F sharp, and my F sharp to G. So I just did that whole scale with you so you get a better understanding. So if you messed up here and you tried to put a sharp on a B or a sharp on an E, you want to fix that. Okay? All right. So you're going to fill in this scale starting on G, and you're going to fill in this scale, and the lowest pitch on this one, I have to turn it around because it's upside down to me. And this one is going to be descending. So basically on this one, we're going to write all the notes going up, and then we're going to do the same thing coming down. So our lowest note again is going to be G, and our highest note is going to be G. So we're actually going to put the high note first, and then head back down, and this will be the last note, which is the same as the first note. Okay? Hope that makes sense. And the checkup, guys. It says, number 1, are all your sharp and flat signs exactly on the line or space with the correct note? Now that's important. And I think you'll answer the question, yes. And then I'll look up here and I'll say, did you make sure that when you put in your accidental, that it was going over the line of the note that you were doing so that it was right over it? I could tell that that was a G sharp. I don't want to put my sharp sign up here somewhere in the atmosphere or down here. It has to go on the same line. The middle of the sharp should be going through the middle of the line. I'm going to fix mine because I want it to be perfect for you. So since I'm the teacher, right, it should be pretty darn perfect. So can you see that line's going right through the center of that sharp? That's what they're asking us. It's the same way if I'm using flat signs. The line goes right through the center of the flat head. Okay? So we want to make sure we do that. Now you know the advantage of watching the video, because when I teach like this, I get really picky about my answers and what my students should be writing. Okay? You guys know that about Miss G. All right. Next one says, a chromatic scale, we're on number 2, checkup, is blank. And it gives 2 long lines, and that's because at the top it says, a chromatic scale is a series of notes moving stepwise in half-step intervals. Yep, I'm going to have to write that whole sentence on that line. Number 3, an ascending chromatic scale uses, remember we're going up, it's going to use, you got it. I showed you the picture before with our hand signs going do, D, re, re. What are we using there? And going down, do, ti, te. What are we using there? Okay? And then number 4 says the interval between each note in a chromatic scale is how far apart? We went over it. If we look at our scale, it's only going up by you-know-what's half steps. Even this one is a half step because there's nothing between it, so it's only a half step. Okay? It may not have an accidental. It's still only a half step apart. And the last question says, number 5, a 1-octave chromatic scale is made up of how many equal parts? Okay? And if you read up where it says chromatic scales at the top, it's going to tell you the answer. I also told you the answer, and I said it's going to start and end on the same pitch, so you only count that pitch once. Do you remember how many there are in chromatic? Well, if you think about it, in a major scale, there are 7 notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, and now we're going to add the sharps and flats, so it's going to be more than 7. Okay, how many more? Figure that one out. Okay, guys, we're moving on to number 45, and number 45 is a note name, whole and half step, and harmonic notes scale reviews. Goals 30 through 44. So we're reviewing everything, it could be, that we've done up to this point. And they've even added some counting, which is kind of tricky at the bottom of the page. So I hope you watch the video before you do your work, okay? And watch the whole video. That's the secret. And some of you, I think, oh, it's too long. I'm not going to watch that whole thing. But you see, I made some good points there in the last section. So watch the whole video. And also, you can pause me, do some work. You can fast forward me. Isn't that the beauty of online learning? You can pause the teacher. All right. So, number 1, a 1-octave scale is made up of blank notes. All right. Now, I just told you it was 7, A, B, C, D, E, F, but if I look back in my work, they actually counted both. So, we're talking octave here. It's not asking me how many notes there are in the scale. It's asking me what is an octave. Remember, octopus has how many legs, and an octave has how many notes. So that's a different question. Make sure you understand it. Number 2, scales are made up of blank steps and blank steps. Well, a chromatic scale is all half steps. But when we do a major or a minor scale, we're also using something else. Number 3, letters of the alphabet used for note names are, I just told you those. Starting with A, we only go up to and then it starts over. Never go H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, or Z. Okay, because we don't have those in music. Alrighty. And any major scale, the half steps in any major scale, the half steps are always between, well, it's the same that I just told you before. The half steps are always going to be between, well, let's start and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because in a major scale, we don't use the black keys because we're not going by half step. So which notes have a half step and what numbers are they in the scale? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so they want to know the numbers that they're between. We said 3 and 4 and 7 and 8. The symbol for a half step, I'm on number 5. The symbol for a half step, do you remember what it looks like? Turn your fierce side upside down. It's like a little peak, a little mountain peak. A scale needs notes and a key blank. Okay, if you don't know the key blank, you don't know what key you're in. Can you figure it out? Number 7, in a minor scale, the half steps are between. Now remember, in a minor scale, the half steps change, okay? So if I'm going up, and let's say I'm in A minor, okay? Where are my half steps? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, which is the relative of C major, by the way. 1, 2, 3, where's my half step? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so now you have changed from being between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8 to being between and different numbers, right? Figure those out. And by the way, you can always look back. Your answers are in the pages previous. So, oh, wait a minute. Where is that one? Let's see. Minor scale, minor scale. Oh, minor scale, minor scale. I wonder if it's on this page where it says minor scale. Where's my half steps? Don't guess. Look back at your work. All right? I know that's kind of an elementary thing, but there's a lot of different various stages of learning in music. Some of you are playing instruments. You're playing the harp. You're playing the piano. Okay? You've taken private voice lessons. Some of you are brand new at this. You've never been in choir in your entire life, or you've never played an instrument. You don't know what you're doing. Take your time. Go back and look. We are on number 8. How many types of minor scales are there? Natural, harmonic, melodic. 9. The names and types of the minor scales are, I just said them. Write them down. A chromatic scale is written completely in, remember, going from white to black keys. What are those called? You know. And then it says, 11, we're on 11. Chromatic scales use blank for ascending notes and blank for descending notes. How many? How many chromatic scales use how many for ascending and how many for descending? Okay, remember, we had 7, but when we make it chromatic, we're adding all the sharps and flats. How many? Number 12. Speaking of 12, we're on number 12. Lines which are added above or below the staff for very high or low notes are called blank lines. So if we're going to write a note above the staff, for instance, like this, we put the line through its head. We had to add the line ourselves, and it has a name. Okay? And if you were smart, you looked because I had the answer written in. I hope you got it. Number 13. Identify the following types of minor scales for your clef by writing the correct name in the space provided. So, refresh my brain. I'm going to go back to look and see my review of my scales. And I'm going to remember that a natural minor scale is the same as what's in the key signature going up and down. I'm going to look at my harmonic, and I remember I have to raise the 7th and keep whatever's in the key signature. When I do a melodic minor, this is where it gets tricky. I'm raising the 6th degree and the 7th degree on the way up only. When I get to the top, I put it back to wherever it should have been in the key signature. So whatever I raised as the 7th goes back to its natural state. Whatever I raised as the 6th, maybe from a B flat to a B natural, I'm going to put it back to that. Okay? So I'm reviewing because it's going to ask me to identify those scales. So I'm looking on number 13. I see my first scale has no key signature. That is a really good indicator that it's probably, but they've put a sharp in. What number did they put it on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what scale uses a 7th raised note? They sharped the 7th. Think about it. The second scale, they've shown it going up and down because perhaps it's different. And I see that they have not only raised the 7th, but they've also raised the 6th. So I'm raising the 6th and the 7th, and then on the way down I put them back. Do you remember which scale does that? Write the name in. And on the last one, it's just showing the notes going up. And none of them are flatted or sharped because they start on an A, which is the equivalent to C major, but it's the minor of C. So it is what kind of a minor? Okay. And I could do the same thing in bass clef. It doesn't matter. I look down here and I say, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, they raised the 7th. What kind of a scale is it? Oh, they've raised the 6th and 7th, and then they put them back right in my scale. And they didn't do anything. It must be a blank minor. Okay. At the bottom of the page, 14, we have rhythm reinforcement. And I'm going, oh, wait a minute here. We have not done any rhythm. Why are they throwing this at us? And I'm saying, wow, that's going to be a tricky one because we're going to go right into 6-8. So I am looking back, even at my opening pages, I didn't give you any rhythm, but we're going to do it anyway because you guys are good learners, okay? So when we're in 6-8, remember, the top number tells you beats per measure. So we're going to have 6 beats per measure. Disregard the pencil. 6. And the bottom number tells you what beat is going to get 1. So we have an 8 at the bottom. What kind of a note gets 1? An 8th note. So we're going to count 8th notes, which are like TTs, okay, or by themselves we can call them Ts, right? Those are going to each get 1. When we hook those together, like I have here, we have these patterns where these 3 8th notes together are going to each get 1. 1, 2, 3. Here's an 8th rest. It's going to get 4, 5, 6. I'm actually going to have you write that in. That's not the most easy thing to do. Okay? When I get to the second measure, it's going to be pretty tricky. All right? They've thrown in some 16th notes. So when I count in 6-8, I actually have to kind of do a little brain twist. And the notes in 4-4, the 8th notes, we're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And now in 6-8, the 16th notes are doing that. Okay? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So when I count 16th notes in 6-8, I'm actually counting them 1 and 2 and 3 because that's an 8th note, 4 because that's an 8th rest, 5 and another 16th. It's going to get the end of the beat, and there's an eighth note getting beat 6. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 is how I would count that. It would be twice as fast for this part though. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6 is how I would feel it. Okay, so I'm going to do the whole thing from here. 1, 2, 3, rest, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now, on the next measure, I have this dotted half note. And I already know that a quarter note without the dot, and I said half note, I'm sorry, a dotted quarter note. A quarter note without the dot would already be getting 2 beats because I'm doubling my notes now in 6/8. So I'm getting 1, 2, the dot makes 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then I have this tricky rhythm, and I have a dotted eighth note, so it's going to get the beat plus a half a beat. All right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, and I said a half a beat, it's going to get a whole beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my 16th, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Da, ba, ba, ba is how I would sing that or play that. Okay, and my last measure, combination again of 8th notes, 16th notes, and then a dotted quarter rest. And the dotted quarter rest is exactly the same as the dotted quarter note. It's going to get the 3 beats. And I already know it's going to be 4, 5, 6 because that's the end. So I only have to work on this. 1, 2, and, remember, I'm going to get the and of the beat 3. 1, 2, and 3, rest, 5, 6. Okay? That's what it should look like. Don't say your teacher never gave you anything. See, if you watch the whole video, there's help there. I'm going to play the rhythm on my recorder. I'm going to just mix up, play my own notes. Actually, oh, they're giving me a note pattern. Ha! I get to actually read the pitches. Let me see what it sounds like. You count for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh boy, this is at high D. Last measure again. I missed that darn C. I've never played that before. I'm going to do it one more time, just so you can really feel where that beat is. 1, 2, 3, 4. Watch your music. And. Second measure, I kind of messed up a little bit. But yeah, you're getting the feel of it, right? I think so. That's what you're writing in. And music, guys, man, oh man, I can tell you, it will be a game changer during this crazy time. Practice your songs. Work on your adjudications. Be ready, because next week there's going to be more coming for you to work on at home. And I'm gonna turn up the flame a little bit, okay? Because some people are, I think, just not connecting because maybe it's a little boring, all right? I don't blame you, but you got to, all right? I want you not to fall behind when fall gets here, and also I want you to not be incomplete and you're gonna have to do the work. Do it now. Have a great day.